Was it Patrick who put the idea of ghosts in your head?
No. Well, he did tell me stories. When I was a little girl, when he first came to work here, he'd take me on pony rides and let me keep him company while he worked.
Did he tell you stories about ghosts at the top of the staircase?
These ghosts are real. I've seen them.
When did you see them?
The first time was several years ago. It was a woman, a very dim figure, moving about in the hallway and then coming to the landing to look down. Then later I saw another figure with her and something happened. At the top of the stairs. I don't know what exactly.
Did you tell Patrick about this?
Yes.
Did he believe you?
He told me to leave them alone, and they leave me alone. He said, "The English had never properly learned to mind their own business." But later on, I noticed his attitude towards them seemed to change.
How do you mean?
He started seeing them himself. He had a theory about them too. He said, "A ghost is an emotion felt by somebody once, that lingers in a place, that houses absorb emotion so it can't get out, and that sometimes, at certain times, in certain places, you can see it. Maybe when something happens to you, and it reminds you a lot of something else, and the two become associated in your head." He thought ghosts must be like that. People who lived here, or would live here. This frightened me quite a bit, but Patrick said not to worry. I was safe as long as I respected their territory. And I asked him how I know if I stepped into their territory or not, and he said I know, that I'd be able to feel it. A little bit at the back of my neck and a little bit at the lower part of my body. A feeling of cold and fear and anticipation, much like...
Much like what?
Much like what a person feels when they desire another person. It makes the body tremble.
And you didn't think it highly improper for a servant to be speaking to you in this way?
But Patrick was my friend, and we were speaking true things about something we cared about. There's never any shame in speaking the truth. I mean, your job is to investigate the truth. How can you think it indecent to speak of it?
Did he speak to you often about such things?
You mean ghosts?
I mean adult matters.
Inspector, have I been shocking you? If I have, then you're easily shocked. And I don't think that's true. So you must only be pretending to be a little shocked. But not too shocked, because that's what police inspectors are supposed to be like. Only you're not. You're actually fairly cynical about such things. Except perhaps in the case of your daughter. Have you never spoken to your daughter about adult matters?
My daughter has nothing to do with this.
Oh, I think she does. Because you have something to do with this. And she has a great deal to do with you. So we have guilt by association.
I'm not guilty of anything.
Oh, you must be guilty of something. It's just a matter of what. Look at you. You're a very smart fellow. You wouldn't have been sent way out here in the middle of nowhere unless you'd done something terribly wrong. I mean, really, you should be in your prime. You should be running something in London, and instead they've stuck you way out here in the country. Whatever you did, it wasn't bad enough to get you fired, but it must have been serious, because you're very good. Do you have a drinking problem? Or was it some woman? My guess is both, starting about the time your wife died. Am I wrong?
So, Patrick was wrong about the ghost being harmless. Clearly they weren't harmless if they killed him.
You're not going to be my friend anymore, are you?
Just answer the question.
You told me something about your personal life because you thought it would loosen me up, so you could get information out of me. But instead, I've used it against you. And now you're closing up in the shell of authority and you don't like me anymore. Of course, you didn't like me in the first place. You were trying to use my weakness to your advantage. Now that I've done the same to you, you're angry at me.
Gillian, there are things more important than your personal feelings or mine.
But what could be more important than what people feel?
What happened?
But they're the same thing.
What happened is what happened, regardless of how you or I feel about it.
What happened happened because somebody felt something. And also you don't know what happened. And what you finally decide happened will have as much to do with how you feel as it does with what happened. What happened has everything in the world to do with how we feel.
Gillian, you know something you're not telling me, and if you don't stop playing games and answering questions with fairy tales and conundrums, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Now you're threatening me. You're trying to alter reality with threats. Just the other side of praying and every bit as useless.
Will you please just answer the question?
I've forgotten what it was.
How could the ghost be harmless if they killed Patrick?
Maybe he accidentally evaded their tag room somewhere and then couldn't get away. You can't blame the ghost for that. That would be a sort of accident, wouldn't it? If he had just gotten in their way? I mean, really, ghosts must be very obsessed with what they're doing. What they're reenacting, don't you think? They're like actors at a rehearsal of something that's already happened. Or is doomed to happen. That's the script, and they've got to keep going over and over it again and again until they get it right. Only they can't get it right because it's already happened wrong. Or will happen wrong. Don't you see? Purgatory is a bad rehearsal.
So if someone else were to stumble into their territory again, that person could be murdered too. Does that follow?
It seems to me a distinct possibility.
Tell me about Patrick and Marcy.
What about them?
They were special friends, weren't they?
What makes you think that?
Did you ever see Patrick in Marcy's room?
No. Well, actually, yes.
Often?
Once. And I didn't see them, I only heard them. They were having an argument.
When was this? Recently?
Not too long ago.
What were they arguing about?
I don't know.
You heard them arguing. You must have heard some words.
Patrick said something about a child.
A child? What about a child?
I don't know. That's all I remember. But Marcy was very upset. Extremely. That's unusual. She doesn't get upset. At least she doesn't let it show. Not often. You like her, you know. You'd make a lovely couple, in fact.
Try to remember how recently this was. It's very important.
It might have been last week.
You're sure you're not making this up?
Oh, I wouldn't lie to you, John. You're my friend. You mustn't be cross with me. You know I'm only trying to help you find the truth.